There's an envelope on my counter I still haven't opened. Session 4, Larchmere & Co., Family Law, Room 3B. That's where this really starts for me, if I'm honest. Not the wedding, not the honeymoon in Cartagena, not even the night I found out. Divorce mediation has a rhythm to it. Quiet, procedural, cruel in a paperwork kind of way. You sit across a table from the man who used to know your coffee order, and a mediator weeds your marriage back to you in bullet points. I'm Maya. I design interiors for a living, or I did, back when Marcus Doyle's name was still attached to mine on the mortgage, before that October, before Renata. Mediator. Mrs. Doyle, do you have questions about the disclosure documents? Just one. Was it before or after my cousin hosted Thanksgiving? Silence does strange things in a small conference room. It sits on your chest. Marcus looked at his lawyer instead of me, a man named Deacon Ashworth, who wore his tie too tight, like it might keep him from saying the wrong thing. He never answered. Not really. Not once in 11 months of sessions. I found out the way most people do, badly, by accident, through a text meant for someone else lighting up on a screen he'd left face up. Renata, my mother's sister's daughter, the one who did my hair for the wedding. I didn't scream. I didn't throw anything. I went home that night and organized my swatchboard by color family, because my hands needed something true to hold, something with a clear right answer. Pantone doesn't lie to you. Fabric doesn't cheat. Deacon. My client would like the marital home included in his portion of the settlement. Odalus, my lawyer. The home was renovated entirely by my client's labor and vision. She drew the elevation drawings herself. Marcus. That house is half mine. Maya. Everything in that house is mine. I just let you live in it. He flinched at that. Good. Here's a thing nobody tells you about betrayal. The humiliating part isn't the affair itself. It's the audience. It's your aunt calling to ask if the rumors are true. It's seeing Renata's captioned photos, still smiling, still unbothered, like she'd detonated 2 families for a man who left his socks on the floor. It's realizing your divorce has become a group chat topic in 3 states. So I stopped checking my phone. I started checking my punch list instead. The unglamorous, unromantic, deeply satisfying list of things that needed finishing on a client's brownstone in Alder Park. Millwork, custom drapery, a spec sheet I could control completely, unlike my own marriage. That's where Kensington found me technically. He owned the brownstone. Let's discuss the studio space on Marlow Street. She wants the studio and half the retirement accounts. That's not equitable. I want what I built. There's a difference. My client is requesting her portion of the settlement be allocated toward Doyle Interiors, becoming solely her own practice. No litigation over the house. She's not interested in it. Marcus actually looked surprised. He'd expected a fight over granite countertops and a fireplace he never once cleaned. Instead, I asked for capital. Numbers. A CAD workstation. A small warehouse for textile sourcing. Enough runway to hire 2 people and stop freelancing my own name into someone else's shadow. He wanted the house because losing it meant losing the image. I wanted the studio because building it meant I never had to ask anyone's permission again. Kensington never once asked why I was slower to trust than most people. He'd bring lunch to the brownstone site on Thursdays, sit on an upturned crate, and just exist near me. No pressure behind it. When I told him, plainly, that I wasn't ready for anything that looked like a relationship, he nodded like I'd told him something completely reasonable. Okay, he said, so I'll bring lunch on Thursdays, and we won't call it anything. You're gonna get bored of that. Try me. He didn't get bored. 8 months of Thursdays. 8 months of him never once asking about Marcus, never once explaining the parts of the story that still felt too raw to say out loud. "Mr. Doyle, is there anything you'd like to add before we finalize?" I didn't think it would end like this. Which part? The affair or the part where you lost everything because of it? Maya. Sign the page, Marcus. He signed it. His hand shook a little, and for one strange second, I felt something almost like pity. The way you feel pity for a house whose foundation you can see is cracked from a mile away. There's an envelope I mentioned, the one still sealed on my counter. It arrived 2 weeks after the final decree. Return address printed in Renata's careful cursive, the label slightly crooked like she'd been in a hurry. I peeled the corner up, just the corner, thinking maybe this was an apology. Then I stopped myself and pressed it back down flat with my thumb. Some doors you don't have to open just because someone knocked. I built Doyle Interiors into something that had never once belonged to Marcus. New name eventually, new logo, a converted loft with north-facing windows so the natural light never lied about a client's fabric choices. My first solo commission was a boutique hotel lobby in Castellan Row, 12-foot ceilings, and I remember standing in the empty space at 7 a.m. with a coffee going cold in my hand, thinking, nobody gave me this. I earned every square foot. Kensington showed up to the opening with flowers he pretended weren't a big deal. "You didn't have to," I told him. "I wanted to," he shrugged, easy, unbothered by his own sincerity. "You don't have to make it a thing." I made it a thing anyway. I let myself. That was the actual grand gesture, if you're waiting for one. Not a proposal, not some dramatic public declaration. Just me, standing in a room I designed with my own hands, letting a good man watch me be proud of myself without flinching away from it. A year after the papers were signed, I heard through the same family group chat that never quite let me go, Marcus and Renata's marriage had collapsed. Publicly, messily, with an eviction notice and a viral post from someone at their building. My mother called to tell me, breathless, waiting for me to gloat. "Are you happy about it?" she asked. "No," I said, and I meant it.
I just don't think about them enough to be happy or sad. That's the truest sentence I've said all year. Kensington was in my kitchen when I hung up, tasting sauce off a wooden spoon like he lived there, which, fine, he basically did by then. He didn't ask what the call was about. He just handed me the spoon and said, "Need salt." And somehow that was more romantic than anything Marcus ever managed in 11 years. There's still an envelope on my counter, unopened. I've stopped peeling at the corner of that label altogether, not because I'm avoiding it, but because I genuinely don't need what's inside anymore. Some stories end when you finally read the last line. Mine ended the day I stopped needing to. If you've ever had to rebuild a whole life out of the pieces someone else broke, I hope you find your version of the Thursday lunches. I hope you find someone who lets you take your time. Next week, I'm telling you about the woman who found her husband's second family through a wedding registry and what she did with the gift money.